In this video, I'm going to show you how you can quickly and easily learn to move a scale shape into another key. So stay tuned. Hey there, James here, and welcome back to another video in my Essential Scales series. And in this one, I'm going to show you how you can take the scale shapes that I've showed you in the previous videos and learn to move them around the guitar so you can play them in any key. Now this is really important because then you'll be able to use them to improvise in all different keys, which will really open up your playing, really expand your ability as an improviser and a soloist. So let's have a look right now at how we can learn to do that, and the good news is it's actually really simple. Now there are basically two steps to this process. The first thing we need to do is learn some of the notes going along the low E string on our guitar. Now there's no way around this really, you just have to memorize these notes so that you know exactly where they are on the guitar, and then this won't hold you up. And be warned, I see this holding people up all the time. Some people I've taught can improvise really fluently in one key, but when they have to move stuff around, they get completely lost. Now I don't want that to happen to you, so let's learn these notes along the E string. At the first fret we have F. At the third fret we have G. At the fifth fret we have A. At the seventh fret, B. At the eighth fret we've got C. At the 10th fret we get D. And up at the 12th fret we get E. Now you'll notice, just to keep it a little bit simpler, I'm not talking about sharps and flats in this lesson. But when you understand that, that's really quite simple to get to grips with, and we'll talk about that in another video. So just to recap, at the first fret we've got F, G is at the 3rd fret, A is at the 5th fret, B is at the 7th fret, C is at the 8th fret, D is at the 10th fret, E is at the 12th fret. So how does this help us? Well, let's examine our root note for a moment. And you'll remember that in the scale shapes I showed you, the root note was on the low E string, and in most of the scales it was the one we played with our first finger. So if I was playing that minor pentatonic shape that we looked at in the first video, it was A minor pentatonic, we're playing it at the 5th fret, our root note was here, and the scale shape looked like this. So it was the first shape we did, and this was the root note. In fact, that was where the root note was for most of the scale shapes, apart from the major pentatonic one, which we'll look at in a moment. So let's say I want to move my minor pentatonic shape into another key. All I have to do is move that note, where my first finger is, which is my root note, to the starting note for the key I want. So if I want to play that scale in the key of C, if I want C minor pentatonic, I need to figure out where C is on the low E string, and I need to move my first finger up to that note and then play the scale shape. Now we saw that C was at the 8th fret. We had F, G, A, B, C. So if I move my first finger up to that note and play the exact same scale shape, the scale shape doesn't change, I will then get C minor pentatonic, like this. C minor pentatonic, starting on a C root note. If I wanted to play G minor pentatonic, then I need to find where I get a G on that string, and it's at the 3rd fret. So if I go down to the 3rd fret and play my pattern there, I'll now get a G minor pentatonic. Again, the pattern doesn't change, exactly the same. Now this also works for our sliding shapes that we did and our blues scale shapes that we did. So if I wanted, say, D blues scale and I want to play the sliding shape, I need to find D on the E string. We saw that was up at the 10th fret. Come up to the 10th fret on the low E string, and I can play my sliding blues scale shape like this. Now if you need a bit bit of a sort of recap on some of these scales, then hop back to some of those previous videos in this playlist and you can check out the patterns again, get to know them a bit better if you think you need to. But that's basically how it works. We learn our notes on the E string. We move to our starting note depending on what minor pentatonic scale or blues scale we want, and we start the pattern on that note. So it's as simple as taking that scale shape and just moving it to the correct place on the neck. This is quite a big deal because what it now means is instead of just being able to improvise, play solos and licks in the key of A, you can now take the same stuff that you know and have learned in the key of A and move it around to other keys. So if you had to play a blues in the key of E, say, you can move your scale up to where E is, at the 12th fret. And then you can use all the same licks, bends and things that you've learned, but in a different key. So everything becomes much more useful because you can use it in lots of different situations. Let's take a look at the major pentatonic one. Now the pattern that I'm going to just show you now, we did for A major pentatonic, which was down here. We played the 5th fret on the E string, then we played 2 to 4 on the A string, and on the D, 2 to 4 on the G, 2 to 5 on the B, and 2 to 5 on the top E. Again, if you need to skip back to that video, then do so. I actually showed you 2 patterns, but I'm just going to demonstrate this principle with the first pattern that I showed you. And it works in exactly the same way, except that this time our little finger is starting on the root. So we need to move the note that in the pattern that we play with our little finger to whatever key we want. Let's say I needed E major pentatonic. I figure out where E is on that low E string, 12th fret, move my little finger up to that E note, play the pattern, E major pentatonic. If I did that with the other pattern for E major pentatonic, which was in the same video, it would look like this. So it works in exactly the same way. Now remember, you can also do this above the 12th fret because the notes all repeat when we get above the octave. Now at the 12th fret we have E, at the 1st fret we have F again. So I could move all my scale patterns up to there and get F minor pentatonic, F blues, F major pentatonic, but higher up the neck, so to get higher sounds. I could play G at the 15th fret, A at the 17th fret, B at the 19th fret, and then we start to run out of frets, so you probably won't want to go much higher than that. So we can take them above the 12th fret as well and really open up your playing, expand your playing, and start to really use everything you know in lots of different keys and in lots of different situations. Okay, so that's about it for this video. 2 things we've looked at. We've looked at the notes along the low E string, and we've looked at moving the root note in our scale pattern, which in most cases was the note we're playing with our first finger, sometimes when we're playing with our little finger, matching it up with the note on the string that matches the key that we want to play in, and then we can use all the patterns that I've shown you in lots of different keys. So this is a really big deal and will make a huge difference to your playing. Now you can get the lesson notes for this particular lesson. It's in my essential scale guide. It has a fretboard diagram showing you the notes along the E string and just summarizing all the important things we've looked at in this lesson. It's also got all the tab and notes from the other lessons in this essential scale series showing you the scale patterns and whatnot. So you can get that right now by clicking the link underneath this video, and I'll email you a copy of my essential scale guide there, and that'll just help you get the most out of this little series of lessons. And remember that a lot of people take years to learn this, and you know, I'm just showing it all to you in a short series of videos. So you know, it's a real good leg up if you're just trying to get your scales together. So check out that guide. I'm sure you'll find it really help you. But that's all for this video. Hope you found it useful. Please like it, please subscribe to my channel, and don't forget your scale guide by clicking the link underneath. So take care, I'll see you next time, bye for now. Testing, testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2.